Selhurst Park this afternoon to see a match that both sets of fans have been waiting for nearly 13 years. Promotion for Brighton and Hove Albion, who almost lost their professional status just a couple of years ago, has seen the Seagulls leap back into the First Division, ready for their first league fixture against their most deadly rivals for over a decade. There's much more at stake for both sides than the 3 points, since the establishment of one of the fiercest rivalries in English football was galvanised in the 70s and 80s, not least through the antics of one Alan Mullery, who, if he's here this afternoon, I imagine he'll be hiding somewhere where he can. Looks as though the well-publicised incident with Alex Kalinko during the Bradford game has been resolved in advance of the FA's interest. Kalinko returns to the Palace side this afternoon after injury. Darren Powell also returns after suspension. Finnish midfielder Aki Riolahti drops to the bench, along with Nigerian international star Dele Adebole, while Dougie Freedman is fit to partner Andy Johnson in the team. For Brighton, Bobby Zamora, just 100,000 for Bristol Rovers a couple of years ago, has scored 58 goals for Brighton in the last 2 years. Former manager Mickey Adams said Zamora is a better finisher at 19 than Alan Shearer. We'll see. This afternoon's referee is Peter Walton from Long Buckby in Northamptonshire, and it is the biggest crowd of the season this afternoon at Crystal Palace. Last time these two met in a league fixture, there were 5 penalties awarded, only 2 of them put away, and an early touch for Danny Butterfield. A good move straight away from Palace. That'll come to Rutledge. He's just fouled on the edge. Paul Brooker just caught him. And Palace have a free kick. So a very lively opening to the game. Just saying, 5 penalties awarded in that game back in, it must have been 1989. Crystal Palace. March 89, it was the days of Ian Wright and Mark Bright, who both scored. Free kick, though, doesn't go any further from Julian Gray. It'll be a corner, which he will take. It's a lively start from Palace. Really haven't been beaten that many times this season, but also haven't had that many victories either. That's a bit of a flap from Kuipers. He's an ex-Bristol Rovers keeper. There's a great link across Bristol Rovers, Fulham and Brentford in this Brighton side. They all seem to have played for one of those 3 clubs once in their career. Johnson's gone up for this, and again it's headed away. It's Zamora actually back this time. Brighton unable to keep the ball out of their own 6-yard box. Julian Gray, excellent corner taker. Good impression on the Brighton defence, and the keeper though, Travis picks that up very easily. Brighton will be pleased to see the ball in the Palace half. It's the first time it's been there. It doesn't stay there very long. Brighton, this appalling away record, just the 1 victory at the beginning of the season. That's Rutledge. It's a great ball. Johnson couldn't quite get it across, but it's another corner. Steve Coppell, be delighted to come back to Crystal Palace and win, but it's something Brighton haven't done since the opening day of the season. They got 4 points from their first 2 games and nothing since. Another Gray corner, much better one this time, hit to the far post. Turn goal was flicked in there! Andy Johnson! That goal has been coming, just 3 minutes on the watch. But Palace really could have had 3 goals in that amount of time. Well, AJ puts his hand up to the crowd and says, let's hear my name. He scored here against Wimbledon in the, in inverted commas, away fixture. Andy Johnson. And Palace have the kind of lead that they've been getting all season. What they've got to learn is how to hang on to him. The way they've started this game, doesn't look like that's going to be too much problem. Well, Brighton amazed to get a free kick there. Brooker it was. And Charlie Oatway wants to take this free kick quickly. Not going to get the chance to. Brighton just beginning to see what it looks like at the Palace end. They've only been there in the warm-up so far. It's a well-won header, but not to a Brighton man. And Kalinko, the first touch of the ball. The Latvian keeper, it's his third season at Crystal Palace. Left-footed clearance. That will be a free kick. Brighton beginning to settle and knock the ball around a little. Call for a free kick, but whether or not we get any penalties in this game, that will be interesting. Certainly never been a game short of penalties. Kalinko unable to prevent the corner. Bobby Zamora waiting menacingly on the edge of the penalty box. 58 goals so far in his Brighton career. Dougie Freedman back in the Palace side after injury, starting a game today. He's their top scorer this season with 5 goals, 2 of those in the Worthington Cup. Carpenter is waiting on the edge of the area. Good punch. Kalinko gets another chance and well, does enough for the time being. Carpenter just pushes it back. Kerry Mayo, who thought he'd put Brighton out of the league with an own goal at Hereford, turned out not to be. On the West Country side took the fall in the end, and look at Brighton now. Well, you might have said that at the beginning of the season. You probably wouldn't say that in the last 11 games. It really has been a disastrous run, but Brighton feel confident that Steve Coppell can turn things round. Well, his side are a goal down already after just 6.5 minutes. Crystal Palace looking good value for that. Freedman came a long way up to take that pass back now. Mayo's going to try and put a little bit of distance on this. Anything to get the ball out of their half. There was a good flick on, it looked, from Zamora, but the ball had just gone out. Bit of a waste. Thrown straight into touch almost. Butterfield is actually one of the few Palace outfield players who hasn't scored this season. Not many victories, but plenty of goals. Absolutely amazing atmosphere. Back to the top flight days, and of all the sides to bring that atmosphere to Selhurst Park, if you weren't a Palace fan, you wouldn't understand it. Butterfield, cross hit to the far post. It was a good jump from Popovic. He scored 3 this season. Didn't really get any power in the header though. Palace throw. Granville down the line. And Freedman turning the ball in, looking for Andy Johnson. He couldn't pick that one. That's a dreadful ball. Rutledge may take advantage. He He might have done better from that position. Certainly had the chance to get hold of that. Wayne Rutledge, such a promising player, came up from the Crystal Palace Academy. Got a couple of goals this season. And again, it is, when you're not in the Premiership, it's just a matter of can you hold on to your young players. He's certainly a player that Trevor Francis won't want to lose. Referee Walton has just indicates with a point there the right throw. Mayo takes it. Took a 2-goal lead against Sheffield United last week, but they couldn't hang on to it. Butterfield. Freedman was ready to take. That was a good hook clearance. It needed to be. Well, the skills were belied by the pass, which didn't have the direction. Right, not clearing though. Rutledge got on the end of that. He may pick this one up. Ball inside some space now for Palace. The pass was a little wide and slowed the move down. Popovic comes into the equation and curls a ball not into the path as he would have liked. His front man. Last time these two sides played in a league game, there were 7,000 less. A very different stadium then, of course, but quite amazing to think that now, in the days of declining gates, Palace can bring 21,000, and of course the following week Wimbledon will probably be lucky to make 1,000. So after the initial burst of action, they've slowed down a bit, but Palace still on the attack. It's a good-looking cross, and Watson was happy to head it away, but Kuiper's indicating it was okay, but with a man behind him, it wasn't going to take the chance. Julian Gray again. Take a corner. It's the first corner Palace have had for a few minutes. Gray hits it to the far post. And it'll be another one. And some versions of soccer where they call it soccer and they actually give points for corners. I think Palace would have such a lead now. Brighton wouldn't have a hope of catching up. It's a good-looking corner to the far side. It's Derry's cross. It's a good one and headed from under his own crossbar. Ball not away for Brighton at all. Very different conditions from the game against Wimbledon, where the rain didn't stop really for most of the game. It's a nice, bright afternoon here. It's Butterfield's throw, and well, Palace have got a free kick in a useful position. Several players to take advantage of this. Referee Walton organising, making sure everyone's the right distance. Granville is fancying his chances. Gray might try something from here. Because doesn't seem too bothered about the left-hand side of his goal. There's a bit of a space. Granville's efforts. I think we're going to have a corner there, so obviously got a deflection. Danny Granville, a Premiership experience with Chelsea and Man City. A couple of goals this season for Palace, looking for a third. As it is, Gray will take this corner, and Palace looking to build an unassailable lead. They've moved men up. Good delicate one. And Popovic is on the line and makes it 2 for Palace, but the flag is up, and whether or not it was Popovic's header that went all the way through. Oh dear, here's a chance for Zamora. Zamora almost made Crystal Palace pay by getting behind the defence. And for a man who's put the ball in the net 58 times, he ought to have put that in. Free kick taken and headed on. Rutledge will look to turn this in. He's got support from Butterfield. People still call Eric Cantona's name, a man who made his name, some would say, at this ground for the wrong reasons. Here's Zamora. Certainly when he came back, Manchester United's fortunes under him never looked any different. A series of successful achievements from that side afterwards. It didn't go the same way for Palace, though. Breaking through here, Johnson running back, so he wouldn't be offside. Intelligent play and a clearance from Cullip, the Brighton captain. Danny Cullip from Fulham and Brentford, as was Paul Watson. Paul Brooker is ex-Fulham. Richard Carpenter played for Fulham. Really a lot of Fulham links, but then you'd perhaps expect that. Mickey Adams link there. Adams, who really did wonders at Brighton. And of course, Steve Coppell, who did wonders at Crystal Palace. Managerial legend. Saved Crystal Palace from extinction, really. Most fans are of that opinion. A tremendously well-respected manager. Well, under him, they got 2 promotions to the top flight. They finished 3rd in the old Division 1, 2 FA Cup finals and a Zenith Data Systems Cup triumph. Not many managers who can say they did that. Some of the very, very richest clubs. A couple did it here. Well, here's some more lone vigil. And in the end, 4 Palace players were too many. Kalinko's rare touch of the ball as he clears the ball downfield. Great ball inside. The Palace have got men up now. Mullins is on the outside, the cross comes in, headed away by Oatway. Shot comes in, just deflected by his own man, I think. Kuipers was just a spectator as that shot came through. Picked up by Popovic, but he's ball watched a bit there and given it away. Again, only Zamora up. It is a gamble that Brighton play, just with this one forward player. That's a better touch. Now Johnson has some space. He's got options here. That's a good-looking far cross from Gray. Will come to Rutledge. Ball skills on the edge of the area, but it just clipped the back of his right heel. Couldn't hang on to it. Butterfield's throw, flicked on. Booker just pumps it upfield. A fairly aimless clearance, but in the rugby sense of making touch further up the end, at least they push the possession further into Palace's half. Rutledge is waving furiously. This ball should be thrown to him down the line. It is, and it's actually a perfectly flighted throw. But Mayo gets it because Rutledge couldn't hang on to it. Brighton just that one chance that Zamora might have done more with. One chance in 25 minutes, not a great record, and won't be making Steve Coppell too inspired at the moment. There's a good run on the left-hand side, and the referee says no foul. It really did look as though legs were out. Brooker's touch, but yet again the pass lets him down. Got the possession, and Brighton for once had three men up. But the pass was really poor. Palace have a home record, which the disappointment of losing to Derby County last month in a game they really should have won, and then a 2-2 draw against Gillingham. Another game they really could have won easily. Just look at their results. The best game so far this season was the 4-2 victory over Wolves. Of course, that began in spectacular fashion by Wayne Rutledge scoring in the first minute. And Dougie Freedman tucking a couple away. Disappointment against Portsmouth. That's a game they were 2-0 up. This is an opportunity for some points and some goals. Johnson's now on the outside, pulls in a good-looking cross, and well, Palace might have done more with that. He's not just a goal scorer, Andy Johnson. He can provide opportunities too, and a cross hit towards the far post promised a lot more than it finally yielded. Rutledge, Powell, I should say, a half chance. Rutledge picking up the header. The problem with the shape of the Brighton side, though, is that with only one man up front, unless he can drop back to receive the ball, Brighton are never going to have the chance to push men up. And it's a very odd formation that isn't very optimistic at the moment for Steve Coppell's men. Tuck in though from Butterfield. Rutledge again, working his magic on the right-hand side. Two defenders with him. Butterfield caught out of position, and although Brighton get a toe in, Powell picks it up. Popovic forward. The game slowing somewhat, but Palace wanting to step up a pace. Watson for Brighton, but it's not a good clearance. Brighton finding it difficult to string a few passes together. Cullip's clearance. Julian Gray, who's been coming across from left to right, but doing most of his work down the left-hand side. And when Gray and Tommy Black came to Palace on loan, the word was out that Black was the star, but it's Julian Gray who's really proved the performer of the two. Tommy Black on the bench today, though, because of the injury. Ball put out for a throw, but that will be a Palace ball, one imagines. Adebayo won't be disappointed at coming on at this stage. Gives Palace perhaps a finisher rather than a creator. Free scoring international. Rutledge will be disappointed to go off so early in the game. It's a game that Palace in the first 5 or 6 minutes threatened to run right through. They still only have the one goal. Brighton marshalling their defence a little more positively, but Palace have got to push men up. Well, with Johnson, Freedman and Adebayo on, we could see a few goals. Freedman there on the left-hand side. Johnson is both those players behind Adebayo, who's coming back now. Interesting to see how Francis plays it, but for the time being, Brighton have the ball. Not a great cross, and no real problem for the Eagles. That was a good touch. Carpenter starting it all. Collett turning it in, hoping to do something with a deep ball. The poor clearance from Kalinko could have been made to pay for that. Kalinko, I suppose one should laugh really, but the Latvian international, no stranger to controversy. His little spat with the manager early in the season. And it seemed that for that challenge with, I don't know if it was Butterfield or Popovic, but they were really not looking the best communicators in the world as that cross came in, and Palace could have had the calamity of conceding an equaliser when they've really dominated this game. Well, this is a great run from Johnson, and a good cross too. Corner, that's really what Palace need. That kind of overlapping run from Andy Johnson, and immediately he's done it. Brighton look under pressure. It's a corner hit by Gray. Oh, and a great goal! Andy Johnson completely unmarked on the corner of the 6-yard box. Heads a second. Well, he earned the corner from the run, but what a great goal. Julian Gray. A marvellous cross. Johnson stooped, heading in at the near post to get Crystal Palace a second goal, and a second goal for Andy Johnson too. Palace have a second. Brighton knew their own tactics to blame, really. They looked to possibly have a chance where Kalinko dropped that one over the head of Popovic, but that wasn't to be. And Palace go straight up the other end. And the corner from Gray is willingly and delightfully headed home by Andy Johnson for 2 goals for Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace have an excellent record over Brighton, but it's a long time since they scored more than 3. The last time they did against Brighton was back in the 1949-50 season, where they beat them 6-0. If we're likely to see that many today, but Palace getting a bit of confidence up now, and Johnson's move was one of the reasons why that happened. Palace have 2, they're looking for a third. And now a little more urgency. Butterfield calls for it. Johnson, the corner flag for the ball. This is something that Palace have done many times, but given away. But that really was a Hackney Marsh's ball. Free playing advantage there, and really ought to have given the free kick. Freedman clearly fouled. Of course, can't have it both ways. Well, Brighton will have to move forward if they're going to get anything out of this game, and of course, the more men they move up, the more chances there'll be for Palace to do something about it. Everybody moving downfield now. A flick. Adebayo, but they're throwing a little bit of weight in. Certainly the Eagles, we can hear now the Brighton fans, all 4,000 of them, have gone very quiet. But to his credit, Coppell's moved his men up. There's no more urgency about Brighton. Good turn from Zamora, but he slipped. Problem with the studs there. Kuiper's made the decision to come. A little bit of indecision, but in the end make the right one. Butterfield. He's got several options. Johnson would seem to be the best one at this position, but throwing it into space. Well, Adebayo fought his way through. Something quite combative about that challenge, and so much so that Peter Walton said that it was illegal, and Brighton have a free kick. So Steve Coppell finding himself today anyway in the unusual situation of feeling at home at Selhurst Park, but with his side 2-0 down. And a half-time talk. It'll be his first at Crystal Palace as an opposing manager. Kalinko a lot more commanding of his area now after that earlier piece of confusion. Kalinko's long terrace, but a strong marshalling header as it needed to be from Cullet. Brighton can push forward now. With great covering. Darren Powell, very solid in defence and needed to be. There were two men. A moment of excitement, but clear handball. The play is brought back. Cullet takes the free kick quickly. Brighton desperate to see if they can't pull something back before half-time. Haven't got a great away record in any sense, really. Haven't scored that many goals away from home. Having said that, they did manage 2 against Portsmouth, but that was back in August. Palace free kick. Graham Barrett and Bobby Zamora, lone figures in front for Brighton, have been very lonely today. They haven't seen very much of anything. It could all have been different if Zamora had put that chance away he had early on. And at that point, really, Palace should have been 2 or 3. Brighton fans, well, silly header from Cullet. It's given Crystal Palace a corner. Brighton fans singing "Stand Up If You Hate Palace." That's about all they've got left in this game. Palace a commanding 2-goal lead. They're looking to improve on. And of all people, Andy Johnson is going over to take this one. He's doubled his goal tally today. Had 2 before this game. That's a great corner, and blocked by Mayo as the shot came in. Gray and Johnson trying to sort it out again. A great ball from Johnson. He will get the chance to turn this one in. He might even try something from this position. He's fouled right on the edge of the area. Carpenter and Brooker between them. Took two of them to foul him. Brighton in utter disarray at the moment. Derry has gone across. But Johnson just a goal away from a hat-trick. Behind him is very hungry. Johnson right through. Good stop. Kuipers really had to get down and hang on to that with 2 or 3 Palace players right in front of him. Any spill, and it was number 3. Desperately trying to get 2 or 3 passes linked together that go to Brighton feet, but every single time Brighton appear to be putting a few moves together. It's a stray pass, usually in the last third of the field, that spoils it all. Palace have gone back a long way, but take the throw. This time, free kick goes Palace's way. Just 20 seconds of ordinary time left at the end of the first half. Palace and Andy Johnson 2, Brighton and Hove Albion 0. Such a strange rivalry between these two clubs at each end of the A23. Johnson just touches it back. Butterfield to the edge of the area, swinging the ball back, looking for someone to get on the end of it, but wasn't to be. Powell is shrugged off the ball. He gets it back. Johnson's a long way back here. He'll win the throw. Well, we're doing a little bit of work with stopwatch there. We reckon there's been 7 minutes. The referee is turning that into 2 minutes. So I think the fans might be a bit disappointed that 5 of those minutes have disappeared somewhere. And the whole idea of that 4th official's job, is about one of the few things he does, is to make sure the right amount of time. It's a Mr. G. Ward. Al's clearance. And again, they're successful. Carpenter, this time Popovic and Kalinko better organised. Kalinko's settled back very quickly. Nikopoulos replaced. But that's the end of the first half. Peter Walton brings it to an end. Half-time, Crystal Palace 2, Brighton and Hove Albion 0. Well, the news at the beginning of the second half is that neither side have made any substitutions. And Steve Coppell's first team talk on the road. We'll see what effect that has on his players. They're 2-0 down and looking well beaten at the moment. Brighton have to perform some magic in this second half to get back into this game. Haven't got a great record at Selhurst Park. It's not going to be much better after today, unless they can really turn this game round. A fairly aimless ball turned in, which Kalinko's not going to have any real problem with. Mayo it was, just turned that one back. And Watson behind him. Gray picks the ball up, takes it off heart for a moment. And shepherded out by Popovic. I was saying that Crystal Palace, the last time they scored more than 3 at home against Brighton in the league was that game back in 1949-50 season. In fact, Brighton are a side that Palace have played more than any other side in league games, with the exception of Norwich, would you believe? And that's one of the reasons why there's such a rivalry, not just the proximity in geographical terms. Been away from each other league-wise for such a long time, and here's an early chance for Brighton, but the flag has gone up, and for the very, very first time in this game, Crystal Palace caught completely flat-footed, with every reason when you look at the replay, as he was quite clearly offside, but well, that might inspire Brighton somewhat at the beginning of this half. And Johnson straight through. He just play the ball a bit too far in front of him, Andy Johnson. Ball looking for Gray. Obviously, so would be delighted to get a hat-trick for Crystal Palace. It's something that all players look forward to in their career, as many of those as they can get. Here's Carpenter, again looking speculatively towards the far post. He's earned a corner for Brighton. Butterfield really in two minds when the ball came across, didn't know what to do, and in the end let it drop. Carpenter comes across for the short corner. There's no Palace man marking anybody there. Could be a problem as Kalinko comes off his line. And the only problem is that it'll be a free kick. And for a moment there, the whole context of the game turned upside down. Palace conceding a needless corner, putting themselves under pressure, and Brighton having a real chance. But in the end, the foul means that Palace let off the hook. A backing in job by Powell. By the ball, I should say. Powell was just behind him, looking for the break. It's a good free kick. Brighton really might have done a little better there. As it is, Palace can come away. 5 minutes into the second half, and Johnson breaking for Palace. Trying to get the ball on his right foot. That's been brought down, and it is a penalty. Johnson's run, no one was going to stop him. The only question here is whether anyone's going to see a red card. Dougie Freedman with the responsibility. No problem. Palace have 3. Andy Johnson, who created the opportunity for Freedman. His striking partner celebrates and congratulates him for the effort. Crystal Palace have 3. Well, that particular milestone we were talking about earlier, they can get a 4th, then they will have achieved it. Well, who let the Dougs out, or the Dougs out, if you like? He's been Dougie Freedman, he's been Dougie Freedman, but he's been let out to take this penalty and give Palace a 3-0 lead. And that extra striker of Adebola has really made a difference for Palace. Every time the ball goes forward, more options on. Powell's header, but Popovic gets it in the end. It's Granville's ball, long down the line, which Gray just waiting for the ball to drop into his path. And there's a certain calm about Palace now. Delightful anyway to have a 3-0 lead, but against Brighton, what could be better? That's a better turn this time, and with 3 men on him, there's going to be a free kick. Barrett did well in that position, not only to keep possession, but to almost take it forward. Excellent skills here as Watson comes in, try and put some pressure on this Palace defence. 3 goals down, Brighton have got nothing to lose now. Meanwhile, the stewards are shepherding off someone who's uninvited, wants to get involved in the game. I thought for a moment it was Alan Mallory, but I can assure you it isn't. He's probably sitting in a warm Sky studio at the moment. We're going to have a drop ball. Here we are. Brighton given possession back after that little moment of madness. Didn't have it for very long. Freedman. What a ball to Johnson. Johnson's right through. Yes, it's another penalty. Paul Brooker, well, he's going to be in trouble, I think. He's got to go because he was the last man. Michael Guy was furiously arguing the point. Well, it's a red. Paul Brooker is off. Here's a chance for Andy Johnson to make it his hat-trick. Thoroughly deserved. He's only missed 3 games all season, Andy Johnson. He's been there or thereabouts. And he'll be taking the ball home tonight. Crystal Palace score 4 against Brighton at home for the first time in 52 years. And the next target they've got is that 6-0. What a nightmare for Steve Coppell. Of course, Johnson, the man who came to Palace in that disappointing selling of Clinton Morrison, who's gone on from strength to strength ever since. Took a while to settle here, but he's the fans' favourite now, especially after today with those 3 goals. And 3 goals against Brighton. I don't think any Palace fan will forget Andy Johnson if he never played another game for them. Hat-tricks against Brighton for Palace players, something the fans, well, they'd attach a lot to that. Freeman's little touch. Here's Gray. Oh, he's got his way through. Gray! What a goal! Julian Gray gets his 2nd of the season with a fantastic strike from the edge of the area. Crystal Palace have got 5. Julian Gray, glorious goal. And Crystal Palace romping it 5-0 against Brighton. So the Eagles bury the Seagulls. And the Brighton fans haven't even got the energy to say they hate Crystal Palace now. It's just the sound of the Eagles fans all around this Selhurst Park Stadium. Johnson's back flick. Freedman looking to get there, but it was a good tackle and needed to be from Charlie Oatway. Brighton throw. Kerry Mayo with it. Well, Powell got himself into a bit of difficulty there. Great skill from Barrett. Touch from Mayo. Brighton fans are singing they're going to win 6-5. Well, that's something. Well, substitution here. It's Carpenter who's coming off for Brighton. Coming on, Paul Rogers, the Sutton United, 37-year-old ex-Sutton United and ex-captain of Brighton. And also coming on, as a double substitution, is Simon Jolly Roger. And it's Charlie Oatway who's gone off for him. Straight away, Andy Johnson getting greedy now, looking for a fourth for him and a sixth for Palace. I think Simon Roger will have mixed feelings about coming on against his old club under these circumstances. His new team, Brighton, are 5-0 down. I don't think you'll be so jolly after that. Mullins turning it forward. Adebayo gets a good ball out to the right, but the cross was a bit too low. Derry heads it back. Good skills from Freedman. Nice overlap from Gray, but Freedman it is who hits the ball to the far post, looking for Adebayo. It's just a little bit long. The stadium alive with ecstatic Crystal Palace fans. Although it looked on the cards that Palace were the home bankers, 5 goals will do.